Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of I have some water in here, not much. So I'm about to bake my wife a cake, but I wanted to make this video because
he wants to show his beard.
look how it's puffy on this side. Well, I took Lucky for a walk this morning.
Wore him out again.
Yeah. He, it's, I sort of like found a new route to take him, instead of taking him down the trail and then back on the, like the same route. This way we go in a circle, and, it's not that it's long or short, it's just, it's definitely, I don't think we're walking a full mile by any means, because it's about a mile from here to the pond, not the town pond, but another pond. That's where we're going to go fishing on the 1st, right?
Yeah.
So, because it's free fishing day. Well, on the 1st, my wife's not going to have a rod. She has a reel. We'll figure something out. She can use mine. Anyway, I wanted to make this video for our daughter because I wanted to let her know something. You're talking about foster care and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't in foster care, but I think in many ways I can relate because I was in a lot of institutions, and the people there could have cared less about us. I say that. I mean, when I was in Mineral Wells, that was actually pretty good. Of all the places I was in, the best place that I was in closes down. And the 2 worst places are still up and running and going strong. That's just ridiculous. When I watch White Oleander, I haven't read the book yet. I mean, these are pretty good glasses for $1, but they're still $1. I definitely need. You asked me if I've read your letter, and no, and I told you why, because I can't see well enough to read your letter. But there was this. I don't know when it happened. Probably elementary school. My school district wanted me put into foster care. And yeah, they wanted me put in foster care because they knew my mother. Yeah. Yeah, but my mother threw a fit. Yeah. So that never happened. What kind of care, what kind of treatment would I have had in foster care? I don't know. Honestly, it couldn't have been any worse than the institutions I'd already been in, and the institutions could have been much better. Could have been a whole lot better.
At least you had a family.
Yeah. And
he can recreate the sounds of an entire
I just...
Not an institution,
Yeah. I wish my sister and I were close. We had been close before we moved to the United States, but we moved here and...
She seems to have problems.
Yeah. Everything went to heck when we moved here, and that's not because of the United States. That has nothing to do with it. It's because of my mother. Before we moved here, my dad was in the picture, and
I think your sister has emotional problems.
Yeah, I agree. My sister and I were inseparable. I would feed her food, and we would go outside and play, even though she was like 4 years younger than me. And I remember once we were in Okinawa.
So how old is she now? What's the age?
She was born in '68, so she's still 4 years younger than me. Her birthday's in
So she's 4 years younger than you, basically.
Yeah.
So she's 45 right now.
And you have to understand, when we lived on Okinawa, the Vietnam War was going on. And I'm
Do
not
you know
gonna,
any of the local children, or?
Oh yeah.
I mean, did you have interaction with them, or
Oh
not?
yeah. Especially when we lived off base.
Uh-huh.
That was fun. I love living off base. Living on base is just,
Horrible.
not horrible, but
I mean, it's more restrictive.
yeah. Your grass has to be cut up to a certain height.
Oh, God.
They actually come around once a week to look at everybody. They don't measure it.
Oh.
They don't measure it, but you know they look, and if they think it's a little too high, they'll tell you.
I tell them, well, you can get out there and mow it.
And you know, like I said, the Vietnam War was going on, and you know, they had Jeeps back then. They didn't have Humvees, but
This is the mixer that my mom had.
when things got hot, they'd mount the 50 on the back of the Jeep, and they'd be driving around base, and the passenger would have an M16 there with them, and the driver, I guess, had a 45 on his hip. Can you imagine that? Living like that? And anyway, there was this time my sister and I were out with my friends in the yard. There was a tree between our house and the house next to us, and this B-52 flew over. B-52s flew over all the time.
Oh my.
You know, yeah, I mean, that was just the way it was. They were bombing North Vietnam and the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which went into South Vietnam, and they were loud. Let me tell you, when a plane that big with that many engines, and they were, you know, that's older technology.
Very powerful.
Yeah, they're loaded. They're loaded for bear.
Plane.
Yeah, and the landing gear is still down, so that tells you how.
Oh, he just took off then.
Yeah, that tells you how low they are, because they would take off from Kadena Air Base, usually going east, and then they take a really, really sharp turn south, because they have to fly into the wind. And you can see the helmet on the pilot's head. I mean, we're talking really, really low, maybe 100 feet, maybe a little more. And my sister, she didn't like loud noises, because they found her, the police in Seoul, South Korea, found her on the streets just crawling around. And you know, they had tanks and trucks and stuff going, and it scared her. Loud noises scared her. And we were out there with my friends, and I still feel so bad about this. She just started screaming, and she grabbed a hold of my leg. And I'm like, well, what do I do? You know, I was 6 or 7 years old, and you know, I tried to slip her from my leg to my friend's leg, thinking she wouldn't notice. So I could
have no part of that, huh?
Yeah, so I could run in the house and get one of our parents to come out and help. But no, she wasn't gonna. You know, she was smart. She's smarter than she gives herself credit for. She's stronger than she gives herself credit for. But anyway, what I was making this video about was, I think I can relate in many ways to the way you grew up. You know, growing up when you don't have family, when you have strangers around you, when you have all sorts of physical and sexual and emotional abuse, verbal abuse. And you know what, frankly, at home, like, was it a whole lot better? No, there wasn't any sexual abuse at home, but I sure got yelled at a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like my house.
Yeah.
There wasn't any sexual abuse. There may have been some physical abuse, because spankings were hell.
No.
But I had at least 2 older brothers who probably would have fought with my mom to protect me.
You were lucky you had them. You know, see, I didn't have that. I just had a younger sister.
Because my brother, my oldest brother, he was probably 19 when I was born.
Oh.
And Melvin was probably about 16, and Tom was probably
Robert would have paid
No.
anything for this one-of-a-kind washer.
Maybe about 18,
At $125.
Yeah, it looked really nice. It looked like it's in really good shape.
18, 15, and 12.
18, 15, and 12.
Yeah, even though Ronnie was my half-brother, he acted like I was his, almost like I was his daughter, because he was constantly bringing home, buying me things with money he made, and then he would go to the store and buy me a bib or a pacifier or a dress or something. And my mom would always say that he acted more like I was his daughter than his sister.
That's good. My auntie Annie in Canada, she told me that when they were all growing up, my dad would, he would do like little jobs, like he'd take the snow shovel out and shovel somebody's walkway. For back then, you get a quarter. That's a lot of money. I mean, my wife and I remember penny candy, so.
Yeah, I remember. It was a yard-long stick of bubble gum, and it was, I think, 5 cents or 10 cents maybe at the grocery store. We had a general store in my town. It was very tiny, but we actually had it was actually almost like half hardware store, half general store. I know we didn't learn not to buy cereal there quickly because the cereal prices were so high that the cereal just sat there. But we would buy bologna by the pound, and you could stand there and watch them slice it on the meat slicer, and bread was okay, milk was fine. There were just some things you didn't buy.
Yeah. So, anyway, if anybody ever comes across a ringer washer, we'd like one, please. And no, we're not going to pay for shipping from out in the middle of nowhere. It need to be in this area so we can go pick it up. Anyway, or you can bring it to us. But anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that I think both of us in many ways can actually appreciate your circumstances, and jeez, I wish I could rescue all those kids out there, and that's just not possible.
What do you mean?
All the abused kids. And,
oh, you're on the video, aren't you?
Yeah. But I don't think my wife realized I was making a video.
I thought you were done with the video.
But yeah, so I think we can both appreciate, to one degree or another, your situation. For me, it was going from one institution to another, to another, to another. And to be honest with you, I wish the school district would have had their way and put me in foster care. At least that would have been an opportunity.
God, I wish I could buy this thing for you.
What is it?
This mixer that my had that was my mom's, but they have 2 on eBay at least right now.
Oh.
They run like a tank. They're old, but they're very powerful mixer.
And let me also say one last thing. The guitar, the first thing I'm going to learn to do with it is learn to play a specific song so I can play it for my wife.
Well, you're going to have to learn the chords first.
Yeah, it's a love song, so. And there's a movie I want us to watch. It's one of my favorite love stories, even though it's a tragic love story. Why do I like tragedy?
Why do you like zombies?
Yeah. And we also have the book. It's called Amy and Jaguar. It's a true story. These 2 women in Germany during World War II. One was an avowed fascist. Her husband was a Nazi. They had several children. He was killed eventually on the Eastern Front. But I think she got a divorce from him. And then she found out he was killed on the Eastern Front or something like that. That was Amy, and then that wasn't her real name. And then Jaguar, those are nicknames they had for each other. Jaguar was a communist, and she worked for the German underground. And she was a Jew. And Amy was like this, I can smell a Jew 100 miles away. And then one day Jaguar said to her, "I'm a Jew," and she's like, "Whoa, really? Wow, I didn't know that." And
Surprise!
and then Jaguar kissed Amy. And the way they do it in the movie is Amy just goes berserk, just starts hitting Jaguar. No, 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 that's sick, that's strange, that's weird. Eventually, they became lovers, and they even had a wedding ceremony. Well, I don't know if they had a wedding ceremony, but they wrote out a vows. And they went to the lake one day, just the two of them, not with the kids. And they go back to the house, and they're young. I mean, gosh, they're young. And they're the Gestapo or whoever it is waiting for them. They arrest Jaguar. Jaguar was the butch, Amy was the femme. And they don't know exactly when or where or how or why or what Jaguar died, but they think she died during one of the death marches. They don't know. But Amy never had another girlfriend, another boyfriend, another anything like that. She
basically went celibate.
Yeah. And that was like her one true love, and that was that, But Amy survived the war, and somebody found out, like in the 80s or 90s about those two, about their story, and said, said let's write a book. And I don't think Amy actually wrote the book, but I think the other person it's like who was it? Was it Malcolm X or Alex Haley? Alex Haley and Malcolm X. Alex Haley really wrote the book, but Malcolm X, it was like an interview process. A Q&A going on, and let him speak and talk, whatever. I think that's how the book for Amy and Jaguar was written, and then they made a movie. It's in German, mind you. The movie's in German, and they show things in the movie that, frankly, you'd have to cut out of a movie over here, because in Europe, being a European, we show things that you just would definitely get a big R and maybe even a couple of X's.
Oh, that bad, huh?
Yeah. It's not that it's not a porno. Don't get me wrong. It's not that, but they
would flip over.
They would, yeah. People over here would flip if they saw certain things that they even show on TV over there. At least they used to. I don't know if they still do, but not in Spain in my day. That absolutely not. But we had to watch things like Franco el Hombre. Franco the Man. It was a propaganda movie, but we all had to watch it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was my first movie. The first movie I ever saw. So, anyway, I'll end this video. It's almost 20 minutes long. So I just want to let you know that I think the both of us can actually appreciate your situation. Bye.